Hello there. Whether you're listening in the quiet of the night or in the stillness of a new morning, if you've stopped here, maybe it isn't by accident. The universe never brings us anywhere by chance. It always leads us to the message we're meant to hear. Sometimes, it's not life that makes us tired, but the soul itself whispering, "It's time to change." Maybe you've felt it lately, that subtle stirring inside, that silent pull to walk away, even if you don't know where to go yet. That's not weakness, it's destiny calling. A door opening quietly, inviting you into a journey your heart has been secretly praying for all along. So, take a deep breath, let your heart grow still. Because what's coming next isn't just a message, it's a mirror held up to your soul, a reflection of every scar, every broken piece, every forgotten dream, all preparing to be reborn in a new and gentle light. Gemini, there are moments in life we simply can't explain with reason. Everything seems fine on the surface, yet somewhere deep inside, a quiet current begins to move light as the wind, but strong enough to make the heart tremble. You feel it, don't you? As if a door is slowly closing, even though you never wished it to. One day, you'll look around and realize that the places once familiar now feel distant. The people you once shared everything with start to drift away, not out of anger, but because their path no longer runs beside yours. It happens quietly, gently, almost tenderly, and yet the universe whispers with undeniable clarity, "It's time to go." No one is ever truly ready for change. Even you, Gemini, the free spirit, the seeker, the traveler between light and shadow, sometimes tremble at the thought of what's next. Because no matter how many wings you carry, you are still human. You love, you attach, you fear losing what once made you whole. But your soul, the deepest and purest part of you, knows the truth. Leaving is not a betrayal of the past. It's an act of loyalty to the future. The universe doesn't always warn us through storms. Sometimes it speaks through quiet days when laughter no longer feels real, when work becomes routine instead of joy, when love begins to suffocate instead of soothe. Those moments aren't coincidences. They are signals, soft awakenings of the soul. You were born between two currents, one of fear, the fear of disconnection, and one of freedom, the longing to fly. You've always stood between two shores, unwilling to leave, yet unable to stay. And then, like lightning slicing the night sky, something happens, a breakup, an unexpected choice, a morning when you wake up and realize you've outgrown your old skin. The universe isn't punishing you, it's teaching you how to trust your intuition, that quiet, sacred compass that never stops guiding, even when every map fails. Deep down, you already know, you can't hold on to a season that has ended. A flower doesn't fade because it's weak, it fades because the earth is making room for new life. And just like that, you're being asked to let go of what's finished, so your soul can bloom again. People often see warnings as something fearful. But in the journey of Gemini, divine warnings are blessings in disguise. They open your eyes. They remind you that what looks like an ending is often just a turn in the path of grace. So when life starts pulling you away from what's familiar, don't resist it. Watch, listen. Sometimes, all it takes is one deep breath, and you'll hear a sound so soft it could be mistaken for silence, not from the world around you, but from the quiet inside your chest. A gentle, patient voice whispering, "I'm still here, I am the light within you." The moment you hear that voice, Gemini, is the moment your healing begins. You stop running and you start awakening. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and softly say, "This is happening for me." Because the truth is, no one ever really leaves you. Only energy shifts separating, so something higher, truer, and brighter can enter. You're stepping into a chapter where light no longer comes from the outside world. It shines from within. And right here, in this still moment, as you pause, listen, and surrender, the first signs begin to appear. Small, delicate signs, but powerful enough to change the course of your entire soul's journey. There are mornings when you wake up and can't quite explain why your heart feels heavy. Nothing bad happened, no one hurt you, yet there's a quiet ache in your chest as if your soul is trying to say something your mind hasn't learned to hear. You sit by the window, watching sunlight fall across the floor, and you realize what once brought you joy now only brings silence. That isn't simple weariness. It's the sign of a deeper shift within you. Your soul is changing its vibration, while the human part of you still clings to what's old. That tension creates a strange emptiness, as if you're standing between two worlds, the old one fading and the new one not yet revealed. Maybe you've noticed it, the fatigue from repetitive conversations, from relationships that require you to shrink to fit. Maybe the goals that once kept you awake at night now feel hollow. You crave space, quiet, air wide enough for you to breathe, to think, to just be. And when you start longing for silence, that's when the universe begins to speak. The universe doesn't use words. It speaks through frequency, through coincidences, through fleeting encounters that make your heart tremble like a familiar song. Sometimes it's an old tune that plays at the exact right moment, a soft breeze that makes you shiver, or a dream that feels so real you can still feel its warmth when you wake. None of it is random. They are signals. When the soul is ready to rise, life will make the old too small for you. Like a pair of shoes you once loved but that now pinch your feet, stopping you from walking farther. That discomfort isn't punishment, it's an invitation, a gentle nudge from the universe, calling you to step beyond comfort into something larger. There will be moments when you want to resist, because humans fear loss. You'll tell yourself that if you just hold on a little longer, things will go back to the way they were, but deep down, you know, they can't. Because what you're looking for no longer lives in the way it was. It lives ahead, in the light that's waiting for you. And slowly, you begin to notice subtle changes. A glance that tells you you're no longer in sync. A job that once made you proud now feels like an empty shell. Your laughter still sounds the same, but somehow it isn't real anymore. All of it, these delicate threads are pulling you toward a different direction, softly but persistently. Don't ignore these signs. They're not here to frighten you, they're here to guide you home. The universe never forces, it only reminds. Whenever you feel hollow inside, stop and listen. Sometimes, silence itself is the language of the soul. People often think happiness means always moving forward, but sometimes, real happiness is learning to pause to ask where your heart is truly heading. And when you listen deeply, you realize these signs were never coming from the outside world, but from the brightest part within you, the part of your soul that always knows the way, even when your eyes do not. Maybe you're in that strange in-between now, half wanting to stay, half ready to let go, half afraid of losing, half longing to be free. That's the moment when the soul expands. It stretches open, calling you closer to your truth. Don't rush to find an answer. Just breathe in that fog between what was and what's becoming. Because right there, in that gentle uncertainty, miracles begin to grow. When you stop trying to understand everything, what you need begins to appear. A new friend shows up with a few words that awaken you. A door you thought was closed suddenly opens. A small opportunity leads you somewhere you never imagined. It all happens quietly like a breath, but each moment carries the same message. Trust the unseen hand that's guiding you. And then one afternoon, you pause, watching people pass by, and it hits you. Maybe this is how the universe loves you, by letting everything change. By letting you lose what you can no longer hold, so you can finally find the strength that's been inside you all along. In that stillness, you stop asking, why? You just smile, because your soul has heard the call. And from somewhere deep within, a breeze begins to rise, soft at first, but strong enough to tell you that a new energy is approaching, and everything is about to change in ways you could never imagine. Inside every human being, there are two rivers flowing. One longs for safety to hold on to what feels familiar. The other yearns to break free to fly toward the unknown. And when these two currents meet, they don't merge easily. They swirl, they clash, they crash into each other, creating waves that rise and fall inside the heart. That's where you are right now, standing in the middle, between ego and soul, between reason and feeling. You know what you need to do, and you know it will hurt. You want to move forward, but you're afraid of what might be lost when you let go. And so, every morning, you wake with a quiet battle inside, invisible to the world, but undeniable in every breath you take. There are nights when you stare at the ceiling and wonder why you're so tired. It's not the work, it's not the people, it's the pull from within, two forces stretching your heart in opposite directions. One half wants to hold on, the other hold both light and shadow without losing balance. One day, you'll look back and see that every struggle you face today was a lesson in trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the path, trust that when something leaves, something lighter and truer always takes its place. Life never asked you to choose between your heart and your mind. It only asks that you listen to both, to move forward with the wisdom that neither side is wrong. The mind protects you from pain. The heart teaches you how to love through it. Imagine standing in the middle of a river, water rushing on both sides. You don't fight the current, you let it carry you. You let the wind touch your face and the light dance across your skin. In that moment, you're no longer the one fighting, you're the one being healed. Every soul must go through a collision to find its balance again. And perhaps what you're facing now isn't an ending, but a prelude, the quiet beginning of a new chapter where your heart and your mind no longer fight, but move in the same rhythm. When you learn to love without fear, to hold without clinging, to release without resentment, that's when the war inside ends. And in that silence, you'll hear it, a soft, sacred sound, the whisper of your own soul saying, "Now I understand, and now I'm ready to learn." And in that single breath, the journey continues. No longer loud with conflict, but filled with the quiet light of awareness, guiding you forward, gently, endlessly. When a soul has endured enough collisions, it no longer fears as it once did. It begins to understand that not every battle needs to be won, and not every loss is truly a loss. Gemini, you once believed that strength meant holding on, refusing to step back from what you thought was yours. But this journey is teaching you something far deeper. Letting go isn't failure. It's the quiet sign of a soul that has grown wise enough to choose peace. Deep down, you know, you've given so much time, energy, love, trust. You placed pieces of yourself into the hands of others, into work, into dreams that no longer bring the same joy they once did. And because you gave so much, you forgot that you too deserve to be heard, to come home to yourself. So the universe, gentle as a mother, rests a hand on your shoulder and whispers, "It's time to come home." The evolution of a soul isn't about chasing something new. It's about turning inward, learning to recognize yourself within every experience. You've searched far and wide, only to discover that what you were seeking isn't where you left. It's waiting on the other side of your own journey, where you meet yourself again, calmer, softer, and more whole. Sometimes the greatest lessons arrive disguised as endings. When something leaves you, it takes the old energy with it, clearing space for what's pure and new to enter. But you only see that truth when you have the courage to face the emptiness, not to fill it, not to run from it, just to witness it. And in that stillness, truth finally speaks. It tells you this: peace isn't found in how much you can hold. It's found in how much you can release. No one ever teaches us how to let go, because letting go is an art one learned only by those who've known pain. You've mastered that art through tears, through restless nights, through silences that no one else saw. And from that silence, your light was born. Look back, Gemini. Every moment you thought you were breaking was actually a moment of growth. Every wound became a doorway to understanding. Every loss became a lesson in love, in faith, in freedom. If you ever wonder why change comes so quickly, remember change is the language of the universe. Just as autumn can't hold on to its leaves, you can't hold what has fulfilled its purpose. Everything that leaves does so to give you the chance to become lighter, truer, and brighter. The outer world may still be loud, but inside, a deep quiet is settling in. In that quiet, you can finally hear what the noise once drowned out: a single deep breath, a softness in your chest, a realization that you no longer need to prove anything, you no longer need to be understood. You no longer need to become something more, you simply need to be, present, gentle, radiant the way you were in the beginning. When you realize you can't control the outcome, only how you meet it, everything softens. Your heart opens wider. You begin to feel compassion for your fragile parts and even for those who once caused you pain. Because now you see they were only playing their roles in the story your soul needed to awaken. And so, resistance turns into acceptance. Fear turns into gratitude. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin to whisper, "This is happening for me." That's when the lesson finally sinks in, no longer as knowledge, but as understanding. And in the instant you realize you don't need to fight anymore, something miraculous happens. Your energy shifts. It no longer stretches between past and future. It returns to the present, becoming a calm, flowing river of peace. There are no more shoulds or musts, no more gain or loss. Only one truth remains. You are ready to live freely, honestly, and with love. And as the light within you steadies, you'll notice something small but profound from now on. Change will no longer scare you. It will move like waves, carrying you closer to your truest self. From that peaceful place, you smile softly and take a slow, full breath. In that breath, there's the taste of release, the scent of freedom, the glow of understanding. And somewhere far away, yet so very near, a gentle wind begins to rise, bringing with it the first signs of divine protection, quietly making its way to meet you. There are moments in life when you feel utterly alone. Every door seems to close at once. The people you trusted quietly drift away, and the world around you falls silent, so silent it almost frightens you. But within that silence, something sacred is happening. The universe is rearranging everything to protect you. When a soul is ready to enter its next chapter, the universe doesn't ask if you're prepared, it simply begins to clear the path. What no longer serves your journey will naturally fade, whether you're ready or not. A job that once made you proud, a person who once felt like home, a dream you thought would last forever, they all begin to dissolve. Not because you failed, but because they no longer match the vibration of your soul. Archangel Michael, the guardian of strength and light, stands behind you in this season. You may not see him, but his energy surrounds you, lifting you with every step. Whenever fear tightens your chest, whenever your heart feels heavy, remember there is an unseen hand resting gently on your shoulder, whispering, "Keep walking, I'm here." Divine protection doesn't always arrive in the form you expect. It isn't always comfort or ease. Sometimes, it's a series of carefully designed challenges, not to punish you, but to teach you how to trust, how to stand tall, and how to find the light within yourself. You think you're losing, but really, you're being separated from what was never truly yours. There's a beautiful paradox in all of this. When you feel most abandoned, that's when you're most surrounded. When you believe everything is falling apart, that's when it's quietly being rebuilt, stronger, brighter, more aligned with who you are becoming. Pay attention. Signs of protection rarely shout, they whisper. They appear in small, almost invisible ways: a stranger's smile when you need a glimmer of hope, a song that plays at the perfect moment and brings tears to your eyes, a dream so vivid you can still feel its warmth when you wake. None of it is random. They are messages, reminders that you were never walking this path alone. Gemini, You carry two essences within you, one reaching outward toward the world, and one turning inward toward silence. Now is the time for those two to meet. To understand that true strength isn't found in resisting the wind, but in trusting it to take you exactly where you need to go. And when you finally find the courage to let go, something miraculous begins to happen. Good things start finding you with ease. A door opens not because you knock, but because you're ready. Someone appears not to fill your emptiness, but to walk beside you in your new energy. An opportunity drifts in, light as a breath yet carrying everything you once prayed for. That's how the universe works. When you stop trying to control, it begins to move. When you stop fearing, it begins to guide. And when you start trusting, even your pain becomes a sign of love. Looking back, you'll realize those closed doors were never unfair. They were boundaries marking the end of a chapter that had served its purpose. Every loss, every silence, every tear was a line in the story your soul came here to live. Remember this: light never disappears. It only changes form, hides itself in the dark, waiting for you to rediscover it. And each time you do, you emerge stronger, gentler, and wiser. So don't be afraid when the world around you begins to shift. Don't blame those who left. Don't condemn yourself for what ended. Everything is unfolding with a higher purpose, the purpose of your soul. And one morning, when sunlight touches your skin, you'll feel something unfamiliar: lightness, peace, and gratitude. You'll understand that everything that happened was needed to bring you here to this very moment of clarity, where your heart opens once again. And in that moment, you'll smile. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally know you are being guided, protected, and led in the right direction. In that calm, a new light begins to spread, soft, steady, unwavering. It's the sign that the universe is about to reveal the deeper meaning of your journey, a hidden message written within every experience you've ever lived, waiting now to be discovered. Within every pain, there is always a light waiting to be lit. It doesn't shine beyond the suffering, it glows from within it. Only when we pause, look closely, and listen deeply, do we realize that pain was never our enemy, but the gentlest teacher our soul could ever have. Gemini, you've walked through long days when everything seemed to fall apart, but if you look closer, each crack still reflects light in its own quiet way. That light doesn't come from the outside, it comes from your endurance, your compassion, and your ability to rise again after every fall. In Buddhist wisdom, there is a word: impermanence. It means that everything changes, and it's that very change that keeps the universe alive. Nothing lasts forever, not even pain, which is why no loss is ever complete. When one door closes, the space it leaves behind doesn't vanish, it becomes an open field, waiting for new life to bloom. The pain you once cursed is now teaching you how to love without fear. The tears you thought made you weak have become proof of your quiet strength. And the times you thought you were left behind, they were really moments when the universe was giving you a chance to return home to yourself. It's no coincidence that the deepest souls often carry the oldest scars. Only those who have known heartbreak can look at life with gentler eyes. Only those who've been lost truly understand what it means to be found. You see, the universe has its own language. It doesn't speak in words, it speaks through experience. When you hurt, you're being taught how to understand. When you lose, you're being taught how to cherish. When you feel alone, you're being taught how to listen to your inner voice. And when you walk away, you're being taught how to come home. Maybe today you can't yet see the bigger picture. Maybe you still ask, why did that have to happen to me? But one day, you'll smile softly and say, if it hadn't, I wouldn't be here standing in this light, with this heart. Everything in life, joy, loss, sorrow, and hope belongs to a greater design, a delicate blueprint that only your soul, not your mind, can truly understand. The universe never takes without the intention to give back, and it always gives more than it takes. You just have to be patient enough to see the gift revealed. And sometimes that gift isn't a person, a possession, or success. It's you reborn into a deeper, freer, softer version of yourself. The one who can smile in the middle of the storm, who can feel gratitude even when life doesn't go as planned, and who can trust even when the path ahead is unseen. Gemini, what you're seeking now isn't certainty, it's trust. Trust that everything is happening with purpose. Trust that your soul never loses its way. Trust that even in your darkest moments, an invisible hand is guiding you through the fog. Perhaps that's the greatest secret of pain. It never comes to punish, only to open. And every time you leave something behind, the universe whispers, "Welcome home." Home to yourself. Home to the wholeness and sacredness you had forgotten. You don't need to understand everything right now. Just believe that every movement, no matter how small, is leading you toward the light, like a river, winding but never lost, always finding its way to the sea. Like the sun, setting each night but always returning at dawn, and like your heart, though once broken, always capable of loving again. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, feel the warmth spreading through your chest, the pulse of life, the presence of protection, the eternity held within each breath. Everything you feared begins to dissolve, making space for understanding and gratitude. And in that stillness, something beautiful begins to happen. There's no more pain to explain, no more questions demanding answers, only peace, gentle, luminous peace. You feel that something inside you is being reborn. Like a seed pushing through the dark soil toward the light, you are stepping into a new layer of your being, a softer, brighter dawn, where your own rebirth quietly awaits. There comes a moment in every life, that quiet stillness after the storm, when the last drops of rain cling to the sky and you realize you're still here, still standing, still breathing, still alive. Not as you were before, but in a deeper, calmer, truer way. Gemini, you've walked a long road, through loss, through heartbreak, through questions that offered no answers. But within each of those moments, a seed was planted, and today it begins to sprout. Rebirth isn't a sudden miracle. It's a silent process, one that unfolds in the stillness, where you learn to love yourself not because of anyone else, but because you've finally remembered how. Where you learn to smile, even when the tears haven't fully dried. There were times you thought you'd never rise again, but it was in that darkness that the light began to seep through the cracks. You are no longer the person you once were. That version of you left behind strength, compassion, and the quiet faith that every breaking is simply another beginning. Now, you no longer need to prove anything. You don't chase validation or search for love in someone's eyes. You've learned that the power you sought in the world was always living inside your own heart. You no longer fear loss, because you've seen the beauty of beginning again, that even from ashes, flowers can still bloom. Rebirth doesn't mean becoming who you were. It means looking back and seeing your pain clearly, but without resentment. It means saying thank you to what once made you cry, because that's when the soul begins to heal. It means forgiving not because they deserve it, but because your heart deserves peace. The world around you may look the same, but you are not. You no longer react from old wounds. You no longer let fear lead the way. You move with understanding, with compassion, with the light you found within. And that, Gemini, is freedom. Not freedom from life, but freedom in life. Remember this: every soul can be healed. No one is too broken to mend. No one is too lost to find their way home. The universe forgets no one, not even you. Every trembling step, every hesitant breath, every small act of courage has been part of your sacred path. You were never wrong to be afraid. You were never wrong to fall apart, because it was in those moments that you learned how to stand. Look closely now. You are no longer waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. You are no longer waiting for a new beginning, because it's already here in your breath, in your thoughts, in the soft light weaving its way back into your soul. You may not know what awaits ahead, but your soul does. It smiles gently and whispers, "We've come far enough to stop being afraid." And so you walk forward without looking back, carrying everything life has given you. The lessons, the grace, the gratitude. The dawn has come, Gemini. Every tear you once shed has turned into light, shimmering across your new wings. So open your arms, take a deep breath, and let that light go with you. This is not the end. This is the beginning, the rebirth of a soul that has remembered its own strength. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for walking this far. Thank you for daring to face it all, for crying when you needed to, for believing once more. I wish you peace in every sunrise, gentleness in every night, and the courage to share your story with the world. And if your heart stirs a little tonight, leave a message below. Share your story of rebirth. Because the light from your journey might just be the lantern someone out there needs to find their way home.